Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name's Trevor. Really grateful to have you here today. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over a top 10 list for my top picks for the month of January. So where I'm at in the Midwest here, you can see it's kind of a little bit snow covered. This is generally the coldest month of the year for me. It's a little bit under 30 degrees Fahrenheit right now where I'm at. So the type of fragrance notes and accords I like to reach for during this bitter cold period are some vanillic, boozy, and benzoin style fragrance notes. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into the list. So number 10 spot is going to be Animal from, I believe the house is called Animal, and this is just a redundancy. I think there's a fragrance called Animal without the secondary Animal, but this kind of, I think, came out in the 90s, and it's was inspired by the female version of the Mugler Amen or Angel. So it was like a little bit, it's got that caramel kind of syrupy vibe that you get out of all the Mugler fragrances if you had a chance to pick up any of those before they got they axed the men's line essentially. But there's like also a really nice honey note in here that gives it some of that like syrupy kind of thick sweetness. A little bit of a boozy accent, even though there's not any boozy notes in here, but yeah, just a beautiful kind of sweet honey, amber, syrupy. Some people say it smells synthetic. It is a cheapie, so you can pick it up for like around 30 bucks. But yeah, just a beautiful scent profile. It's the closest thing that you can get still from like the Mugler DNA type of fragrances for like pure Havana and pure malt. Definitely worth checking out. Beautiful cheapie, Animal, number 10 spot. Alright, number 9 spot is a classic boozy fragrance. It's going to be Bentley for Men Eau de Toilette. So I went with the Eau de Toilette instead of the Intense. The Intense kind of is already talked about enough, I think, and this one, I personally prefer this one a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more wearable, more versatile, a little bit more projection, honestly. I feel like, for me anyways, the incensey kind of smokiness in the Intense kind of mutes that one a bit, and that one's a little bit more sweet, I think, and this one's a little bit more boozy. So one of the reasons I like reaching for the boozy fragrances in this bitter cold period is for the same reason some people like to drink booze, because it kind of warms them up. But yeah, just a beautiful fragrance. I think it's really worth checking out if you haven't got this one and only have the Intense. I think this one's a little bit more palatable and mass appealing anyways. So that's the number 9 spot, Bentley for Men Eau de Toilette. Number 8 spot, this is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. This one is just a beautiful vanilla, and it's come back into discounters for the sub $40 price range. I think you can check the perfume box. Has it for under 40 bucks. FragranceBuy.ca has it for under 40 bucks right now. I think maybe even some sellers on eBay, but just one of the best vanilla fragrances that you can get, point blank period. And again, the vanilla in here really adds to the it offers itself to a type of boozy quality, so definitely would recommend checking this one out. And while you can get it for the sub $40 price range, that's Mercedes Club Man Black. Is going to be Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature. So this kind of takes that somewhat gourmandish aspect of the original Uomo and then adds some leather to it and kind of mutes down the gourmandish aspects and makes it a lot more signature worthy. Obviously it's not something that you can really wear or pull off in the warmer months, but here in the dead of January, this is like such a beautiful wear. Kind of like a leathery ice cream in some sense is the best way I can describe it. Again, Roberto Cavalli is the perfumer behind this line, so it's definitely worth checking out, and I prefer this one over the original Uomo. And you can still find this one a few places, maybe like Forever Lux and stuff, for under 40 bucks, so it's still a cheapie. So get them while you can for that price. Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature. You can find the 75 mLs still in the sub $40 price range, and that is Rojas Mustache Eau de Parfum. So the Eau de Toilette also is really nice, but it smells nothing like this. This one's kind of a riff on, supposedly a riff on YSL's Tuxedo. I've not smelled that fragrance yet, but I think I saw a couple reviews from people saying this one's got a little bit more of a green touch to it. For me, the vanilla and the benzoin in here kind of gives it a little bit of a boozy accord, even though there's not any booze notes explicitly in here. But again, for the same reason I like wearing Bentley for Men Eau de Toilette, this one also scratches that itch, and it's a little bit more dressed up. There's a rose note in here, so it has kind of like a nice upper class quality to it, which makes sense because it's imitating a fragrance called Tuxedo. And then also there's like some really nice pink pepper in here that makes it bright and fresh, despite it's like very resinous, boozy sort of vanilla quality. Definitely worth checking this one out. I think Fragrance X and Fragrance Net both have the 75 ml for under 40 right now, so I would definitely jump on that one while you can. And if you want to be a little bit more patient, the 4.2 or 125 mls tend to come down under 40 bucks in the summertime. So that's number 7, Mustache Eau de Parfum. Or I think that was the 6th spot. Okay, so Stronger With You, absolutely. So this one kind of runs in the same vein as By the Fireplace, but this adds an extra rum note to it. So while I tend to grab the By the Fireplace for its chestnut accord in December, the added Boozy accord in this one is something that I like to reach for in the colder months of January and February a little bit. Personally, I kind of enjoy the Eau de Toilette the most from this line because it's a little bit more mass appealing and versatile. But when I'm out in the cold and I work out in the cold, I deliver for a restaurant, so I'm going to be out in this, for a good portion of my day, 5 days a week anyway. So this one is beautiful, just kind of has that nice chestnut creaminess, and then like the Boozy accord adds like a little bit of an edge, but also like warms it up even further than it normally would otherwise. So that, I believe, is the number 6 spot, Strong With You, absolutely. Okay, I believe we're getting into the top 4 or top 5. So next one is going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that was Strong With You absolutely was number 5. So this is going to be the number 4 slot, and that is Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum Reserve Privé. Long name, but just kind of nice iris take on that general sort of line of fragrances like Valentino Uomo Intense, Dior Homme Intense, just kind of riffing off of that chocolatey sort of iris. But this one, again, adds a nice little Boozy accord into the mix. Really enjoy the presentation on this one, too. I think it's a rather beautiful bottle. Really enjoy this entire line. Natalie Lorson and Olivier Cresp have done an amazing job with all of these. A little bit sad that the cologne got discontinued. It was one of my favorite summer fragrances, but as an iris lover, I can't recommend this one enough. It's definitely worth picking up and something that I rather enjoy wearing in these depths of winter in the cold months. Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé, number 4. All right, number 3 spot is going to be Pasha de Cartier Parfum. So this one, obviously, I've gotten quite a little bit of wear out of. Not quite half the bottle, but one of my favorites in the winter time for sure. That's definitely got that there is an explicit Boozy note in here, but then also the resinous qualities from the Benzoin in here helps to really push that quality even further, and then the aromatic touch from the balsam fir in here just makes this super enjoyable. It's almost transportive into a forest, but then you have that warmth from the booze and the vanilla, and it's just super up class, dressed up as well. Just there's so many things about this fragrance that are laudable, and I highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it. I think it's still going for under $100 on most of the discounters. Well worth the price. I haven't tried the Eau de Toilette. I heard that one's a little bit old school, but this one is, I can't recommend it enough. Definitely going to get a lot of enjoyment wearing this one for the remainder of this winter. That's Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Okay, top 2. Number 2 spot is going to be Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, the original Eau de Parfum. I have the Parfum. I think I like that one a little bit more just because it's got the iris in there, but this one is a little bit more sweet, a little bit more dense. It's got patchouli and amber in the base, so it dries down and has this really beautiful kind of almost chocolatey sweetness to it. But the leather in here obviously smells kind of like that new car leather smell. So definitely, I'm sure this one kind of, its reputation precedes itself. If you haven't gotten it, I'd at least recommend going to Sephora and smelling it because it's super amazing. But the Parfum I tend to like more in the warmer, cooler months, like in the fall. But this one I think is just a beautiful beautiful wear in the winter time, cuts through the cold perfectly, and it definitely has like a nice masculine edge to carry you through. So that's number 2 spot, Tom Ford's Ombre leather. And then my number 1 slot is going to be from the house of Mwash, and that is Overture, man. So this one, definitely recommend sampling. It's very expensive. I think discounters are starting to get it here in the US. You can only get it across the pond for a little while, but very dry. Like when I first got this, I was expecting it to be a lot more sweet than it actually was. But the spices in here are incredibly dry, and then the Boozy accord in here is like one of the best that I've ever smelled. It's definitely exotic in some sense, or like, you know, you definitely get that Middle Eastern vibe out of this one, but it's not done in a way that is like, you know, off-putting at all. Like, this is one of the best well-blended fragrances in my collection, as are most of the offerings from Mwash. But I highly recommend checking this one out if you can only get a sample, because it is a little bit like an acquired taste, I would say, but man, I just this just suits me so well in the cold. So that's number 1 spot, Mwash Overture, man. And then I have 5 bonus fragrances. I would have put them in the list in general, but they're a little bit harder to come by. So I didn't want to like recommend them because they're either discontinued or just hard to find. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on those 5, but I will just mention them briefly. We have Roberto Cavalli Uomo Golden Anniversary Edition. Nice leather fragrance, but it also has that velvety touch that the original Uomo line has with the violet, and then some balsam qualities, some resinous qualities that help kind of make it a lot more, I don't know, like just apt for the cold weather. So that's Uomo Cavalli Golden Anniversary Edition. And then also we had Costume National Soul, beautiful kind of chocolatey patchouli vanilla base with emphasis on an oud note. Definitely recommend checking this one out if you can find it. I wouldn't pay more than like $120 for it. I think I picked mine up for right around $100 on fragrancebuy.ca, and they pop up for that price on eBay from time to time. But just a beautiful, nice, woody, sweet kind of, it almost reminds me of Dior Homme Intense or Dior Homme Parfum if you took the iris out of it. That's Costume National Soul. And then the other bonus fragrances I had here are obviously Mugler Pure Malt. Yeah, sorry, getting a little tongue-tied and kind of shivering a bit. The cold's getting to me somewhat, but one of the best Boozy fragrances I've ever owned. This was like one of the first fragrances I ever owned, period, but I'm trying to hold on to the remainder of my juice here. I'm a little bit around half gone, but yeah, it just has like this nice sweet caramel kind of vibe that you get from all the Mugler offerings, and then it has an incredible sort of Boozy top note, and I think some like peat in there, like, so it's almost like malty, like a yeasty kind of vibe, but in a very like incredible way. I mean, if you've smelled it, you know. Wouldn't recommend paying too much for it, but add yourself to the mailing list on Aura Fragrance. I think they come into stock every so often, and you can still get it for like under $100 there if they get it back. So that's Mugler Pure Malt, one of the other bonus fragrances. And then let's see, I think I only have one more bonus fragrance here, and this is probably would have been my number 1 in the top 10 if you could find it, but that is L'Eau de Ses Pour Homme Noir Ombre. Not discontinued. I picked this up for about $90. I've seen some people say they got it on Fragrance Net for like $70 or so. So keep an eye out for this one. Add yourself to mailing lists. It's just the best amber fragrance that I've ever put my nose on. Just woody amber, incredible quality. Just definitely recommend checking this one out if you can. And that is going to be essentially my top 15 picks for the month of January for the depth of winter. So I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.